Welcome to Illuminati Silver. We tell you the truth about silver. Today is Thursday, the 3rd of December, 2020. And today we interview Brother Anthony and how he has lost up to $10,000 or £9,000 on Bitcoin. Let's hear his story. Now, before we listen to what Anthony had to say, just a few quick points. Firstly, this interview has also been published on the Richard and Greg channel. So if you've already listened to that one there is little news, additional news here. So rather than waste your time, it's better to advise you upfront, as you're not going to hear anything new from the Richard and Greg channel. Secondly, for those who do not remember, Brother Anthony is a key member of Illuminati Silver and is a property developer, having developed all types of property both in the UK and abroad, and especially in countries like Turkey and Spain, and now more recently, Kazakhstan. He is a bit of a rough diamond, as most property developers appear to be, but he has some interesting experiences to relate, some quite profound and others unbelievably simplistic, and we suspect today's experience is rather simplistic. Thirdly, this video is a follow-up from the one we produced on Tuesday entitled Bitcoin 101, Bitcoin Reaches All-Time High, and our discussion with Anthony was conducted late that same evening. And we've placed a link to this video and our midweek update video, which we published yesterday, in the description box below, because we could see yesterday that over the last couple of days gold and silver have started to recover from what was perceived by many as a significantly potential downward trend. Now, for those interested, before we go over to the interview, gold has recovered further and is currently trading at $1,838 and silver at $24.12, while Bitcoin has fallen back from recent highs but is still holding above the $19,000 level at £19,113. Okay, so we're now going to hear the interview we had with Anthony and his experience of buying Bitcoin, experiencing both its rise and now why he thinks he may have lost its current value of some $10,000 or around £9,000. This also acts as a cautionary tale of one of the many problems people have experienced investing in cryptocurrencies and why they prefer to hold on to physical precious metals instead. By all means, please comment after the video and share your thoughts and experiences. Not forgetting, of course, hopefully, to subscribe to our channel if you haven't already done so, and pressing the bell sign so that you're notified of our videos as and when they are published. So let's go over to the interview.
Good evening, Richard. I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm great, and I'm enjoying, if one can use that term, the ability to go out and, because of the various lockdowns, not encounter huge amounts of traffic. Very selfish, I openly admit, but actually it means you can get around without too much difficulty. But of course, we're all worried about catching coronavirus and infecting others if we were to have it in the first place. But having said all of that, following both the equity markets, gold and silver markets, and now Bitcoin, it's a fascinating time.
It certainly is. And just as an aside, I'm not sure if your listeners are aware of this, but real estate in UK is at its highest ever, despite of COVID, which I find is baffling, really, because there's going to be so many people losing their jobs and losing money, but yet it's still going up, the price of real estate. We're not here to talk about real estate, even though that's my forte. I think we're here to talk about my dabblings in Bitcoin and how unfortunate or fortunate they may have been.
Yes, because both Greg and I, we're precious metal people, and I, being a wealth manager, would advise people particularly on equities more than anything else, equities, bonds, and other forms of what we call gilt-edged securities in the United Kingdom, and pension funds. And of course, generally speaking, it would be fair to say that traditionally in the past, because advisors were not given any form of commissions for recommending precious metals, very few of them used to advise people to put money into them. But that, fortunately, is gradually changing. What we've witnessed actually is that today, Bitcoin reached its all-time high, approximately $19,920. Now, its last high was some 3 years ago. And we saw Bitcoin fall from close to 19,000 all the way down to between 4 and 5,000. But it's now gone back up there and is very close to the psychologically important $20,000 mark. Now, at the time of us speaking, it's fallen back again slightly, but we're still looking at $19,480. So it's only a matter of time before it gets to this 20,000, and some people believe beyond that. Now, Greg and I have not personally invested in Bitcoin. I have a Bitcoin wallet because I've been given partial Bitcoins, but I don't actually invest in them. But you have. So tell us about your experience, particularly why you even considered investing in Bitcoin in the first place.
Okay, Richard, funny you should ask that. As you know, and as I've already covered, I was more into property. However, a friend of mine who's a financial advisor suggested I get involved in Bitcoin. In fact, it was just before the peak of 2017, maybe 3 or 4 months earlier, when I invested. It's actually 2,000 in Bitcoin in sterling, but after fees, it cost about £2,400. And as you know, I've got quite a bit of business in Kazakhstan. I went out to Kazakhstan to do some work and look at some real estate out there, which is actually when it peaked. And my 2,000 sterling of Bitcoin went up over £9,000. Now, the volatility of Bitcoin, as you've already pointed out, is a bit crazy. By the time I came back from Kazakhstan 3 weeks later, it was back down to £2,000. I thought, okay, I'll just let it run. Where's Bitcoin going to go? Nobody knows. 3 years, 5 years, 10 years' time, there are promises of all sorts of wealth. However, as a cautionary tale, I kept my Bitcoin wallet on my iPad, which I thought was safe enough. It had my passwords, my PIN, everything on it. And one day I went shopping with my elderly father, who is suffering a bit with his memory. And as I came out of the shop after doing his shopping, he was half out of the car, walking across the car park, not knowing where he was. So I put him back into the car, put my shopping in the back of the car, put my iPad on the roof as I put him in, made sure he was safely fastened in with his seatbelt, and drove off. It was only about 5 minutes later I realized my iPad was on top of the roof. And when I stopped, it was no longer on top of the roof. So since January 2018, I've had no access to my Bitcoin wallet, which could have anything from £2,000 to £9,000 in it, for all I know. And I'm struggling to retrieve it. I think sometimes it's better to have something you can keep your hands on, perhaps, rather than something that's you're gambling on in the internet that you can't see, you can't hold, isn't in your pocket. But I'm sure your listeners will be wanting to know how I get on, but I've just started to investigate how I can try and get it back. And I'll let you know if I'm successful or not. Because, to be honest with you, I'll probably let it ride anyway and see where I am in another 3 years' time.
Now, you mentioned the fact that you had it on your iPad device, and obviously that is now gone. Okay, so I have 2 questions for you, really, then. The first, of course, is there a danger that whoever actually now has your iPad can perhaps break into your account? I'm assuming your iPad will have saved any passwords and therefore have access to your Bitcoin. And the second is, assuming that doesn't happen or hasn't happened, how the heck are you ever going to track it down?
That's a very good question. I did have a secondary security measure where I would be text message on my mobile phone number if anybody tried to access my Bitcoin, which would then give me authenticity codes to go through. The problem is when you've got as many apps and as many investment tools on your phone or on your iPad, you tend to forget which one you put what on. So I've been left in a position where I'm not actually sure where my Bitcoin is at the moment. However, I am investigating that. I'm not so concerned about anybody finding it. I don't know if you're aware, but there was a story in the UK going back about 6 or 7 years where somebody put their computer in the recycling and it was sent to a waste tip, and it had in the region of £6 million worth of Bitcoin on the hard drive. And they searched and searched and searched. They paid people to search. They had rewards if people went and searched, if they got the hard drive. And as far as I'm aware, they lost it. So it is very difficult. Once you've misplaced your wallet or misplaced the app that you're using in order to transact the Bitcoin purchases and sales, to actually get it back. So it is a very, very difficult situation. However, I hope I can get it back. But if I do get it back, to be honest with you, I'm back where I was, it sounds like, from where Bitcoin is today. So I'll probably let it ride. I haven't lost the money. I haven't missed the money because I haven't had the money. So I'll probably let it ride for another 3, 4, 5 years, especially when we're in such uncertain times. Gold has traditionally done well. And as you know, I do occasionally buy the old sovereign or two just for numismatic values. However, Bitcoin, I think, is a higher risk, but certainly a higher reward. And we're moving towards that sort of society, I believe, Richard.
Well, let's just touch on that just very briefly then. There are some commentators who are basically saying that precious metals, certainly in the West, have had their day to some extent, even though, having said that, gold has reached all-time highs in a number of currencies, and including now the US dollar, although it has fallen back a little since then. But of course, huge sums of money have gone into Bitcoin, which has driven the price up. It is a gamble, of that there is no doubt, but it's also a digital currency. And one area that many people are convinced of is that our next ultimate global currency will be digital type currency, probably based on some form of blockchain technology, though no one can be precisely sure. So is Bitcoin really the future, or cryptocurrencies, or something similar, because we are entering the digital age?
Well, as you correctly said, there's a number of futures out there that are cashless. Whichever future is right, whether it's Bitcoin or some sort of chain, whether you have to actually mine Bitcoin or whether it's just a paperless currency. You know, we don't know what the future is. But at the moment, Bitcoin has gone up, it's gone down, it's gone back up again. Gold at the moment is fueled by the fact that oil prices are low. So the mining of gold, the price of mining the gold has gone down and the gold price has gone up. Now, we know that's not going to keep going on forever, although people who've got gold or silver would hope so, especially silver, because that hasn't been impacted quite as much as gold. But Bitcoin, cashless society, that's the future. Whether we like it or not, your government wants to know where you got your money, how you got your money, and they don't want you to carrying cash around. They want to tax you to the hilt. We've got some sort of rebalance of all Western societies, and especially the capitalist societies, and we don't know where it's going. Now, whether Bitcoin is going to be a haven for that or not, I'm willing to take a punt on it for the next 3 to 5 years, and if I can find my wallet, I might take it out then.
Well, indeed, and let's be honest, £2,000 is a very small investment when you consider that most of your properties are ranging anything from 50 to £300,000 or £400,000. So it is really just almost a gamble on the blackjack table for you. But having said that, one of the dilemmas, of course, with Bitcoin and most cryptocurrencies is, although there is a blockchain that proves the route to the achievement of that coin, the holder, unless he or she gives away their actual wallet details, are pretty anonymous. And one of the concerns governments have, of course, is black market operations, money laundering, acquisitions of, in some cases, illegal materials using Bitcoin, as was highlighted in the video that I produced today on the Illuminati Silver channel. So maybe a digital currency is the answer, but whether Bitcoin or a cryptocurrency is going to be the solution, I would just find it very difficult to believe that governments would be willing to accept that. And as you know, Bitcoin has been banned in a number of countries. Now, that's not going to stop perhaps people covertly using it, but do you think it will be relegated perhaps into the backwaters, or are you heartened by the fact that a number of investment advisors are now actually suggesting that people do put money into Bitcoin or into Bitcoin type funds?
I think like anything else, Richard, it's knowing when to get in and knowing when to get out. I would have got out 4 times my money had I not been in Kazakhstan at the time and not been able to actually access my Bitcoin wallet because I wasn't able to access the text messages on my mobile phone to withdraw. And then by the time I come back, 3 weeks, it crashed. That's the volatility of it.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, you know, I can make 100% profit on a building project, but this was 400% in 4 or 5 months, which is a fantastic return. But you've got the high gamble. You know, I never thought I'd lose my iPad with all my passwords on. I never saw it happening. It was just a chance of fate. However, you're quite right. Bitcoin is associated with the dark web. It's associated with criminal activity. But when I set up my Bitcoin account in the UK, I had to provide them with my driving license, my passport, and set up a proper account with my bank details. Mm-hmm. So, you know, there are bona fide Bitcoin dealers who you can work with. So if you consider where I'm located, back in 2017, it was suggested that on every high street, there'd be a cash dispenser, like a cash machine, where you could buy, sell, and trade Bitcoin. That never really happened. But the money's going there somewhere for it to double, treble, or get to its highest price that it is now. So there must be some confidence in it in order for those investors to latch onto the Bitcoin. So possibly, as I said, 3 to 5 years, if I can find my wallet, I'll be coming out in 5 years, and I'll be looking for an alternative investment. But for now, perhaps it's something that your supporters, your followers, your listeners could have a look at. However, bear in mind, you may have missed the boat because Bitcoin was nothing 20 years ago, and a lot of people made their money and ran away. I wish I had maybe in 2017, but fate was against me.
Yes, just to correct you slightly, Bitcoin hasn't been around for 20 years, but it has certainly been around for just over 10. In fact, I think the first major transaction was close to 2009. But that said, I take it, Anthony, that you would not necessarily invest in it at the current level. So you're not going to sell any of your properties and perhaps put some additional money in.
Certainly not. And I will sort of back myself up by saying 2020 has seemed like 10 years to me. So 2009 certainly seems like 20 odd years to me as well. I certainly won't be doing that. As I said, I put some money in as a general punt. I did well. I didn't get out when I wanted to get out. Now it's back up there. If there's £9,000-10,000 in there, I'm prepared to wait 3 to 5 years and see where it's at. But you're going to have something trying to overtake. There's going to be a new kid on the block. And the new kid on the block is going to make this less relevant. And there'll be new investment opportunities. And as I said earlier, you've got to know when to leave. And I think that would be the time to leave if I can actually find my wallet in the first place.
Anthony, that's it. We've run out of time. Thank you very much for sharing your experience. And no doubt it shows that nothing is ever 100% safe. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Richard.
We hope you have found this video interesting and informative. And if so, please give it a thumbs up and share it on social media. Please ensure that you have subscribed to our channel and press the bell sign so that you are notified of any future videos. Also, kindly visit our website at illuminatisilver.com, and if you haven't already done so, please subscribe either as a free or paying member for regular email updates and offers. Disclaimer. Illuminati Silver owners come from a background of banking, international wealth management and economics. Having now retired from these worlds, we are not qualified to give investment advice. Therefore, this and other productions must not be deemed to be giving such advice and merely represent the personal views of its owners.